Peace will come, and let it begin with me. We need peace, and let it begin with me. Oh, my own life is all I can hope to control. Oh, let my life be lived for the good of my soul. Let it bring peace, sweet peace. Peace will come, and let it begin with me. Oh, peace will come. Oh, peace will come. Oh, peace will come, and let it begin with me. Oh, peace will come. Oh, peace will come. Oh, peace will come, and let it begin with me. Oh, my own life is all I can hope to control. Oh, let my life be lived for the good of my soul. Let it bring peace, sweet peace. Peace will come, and let it begin with me. With me. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to Central Synagogue. Welcome to all of us who are here physically in this place. And welcome to all of you who are here with us virtually, especially our neighbors. We welcome you. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to all of us. We want to take a moment to introduce who we are. I'm Rabbi Ari Lorge. I'm joined by Cantor Dan Mutlu, Rabbi Angela Buchtal, by our rabbinic intern Chelsea Fuchs. Rabbi Sarah Berman is here with us tonight too, and we're joined by an incredible member of our Board of Trustees, Lori Moore. We also know that there's a lot of guests with us tonight. We want to give especially a warm welcome to confirmation classes from Congregation Dor Tamid, being led by Rabbi Jordan Ottenstein, and Temple Beth Tikva with Rabbi Alexandria Shuval Weiner. And we also want to welcome our friends from Temple Emmanuel, led by our former cantor, Liz Sachs. So all of you, we say welcome, and we're so glad you're here with us. We want to ask you to take a moment to make sure that if you have any devices that might beep or buzz or take your neighbors out of the worship experience, that you take a moment to turn them off or silence them. And we want to thank our shamashim who are greeting us as we come in, our musicians who add so much to our worship, to our AV teams and facility teams. What's that? Turning off your device. Thank you. Not the piano, though. No, good. And we're here at a special moment. This is the first Shabbat in the Hebrew month of Shvat. This new month, we're told in the tradition, was the month when Moses began to speak the words of Deuteronomy to the Israelites. That he actually began speaking to them on the very first of Shvat, and ended the book at the end of the month, and the Israelites sat there the whole month and listened. And that is not described as a miracle in our tradition, and I think it is. Somehow all of these Israelites sat and listened to him speak. Never has such a thing happened again for a Jewish leader. But we are also taught that we are supposed to pay especially close attention to the words from that book. And so as we enter this first Shabbat, I share the first words that we're told Moses recited to the people. He said, "You've dwelled long enough at Sinai. Turn now and take your journey." And so often at the beginning of Shvat, we ask ourselves, where are we reluctant to leave? What safe moments or experiences or places have we overstayed? What journeys are we putting off that we might choose to begin now? And those questions might infuse our Shabbat. So let's take a little bit of time to think of that, but also to greet one another and to wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue by kindling the lights of Shabbat. I will call up for that honor Marcy Golden, Ted Polish, Bodie Wolf, and Quinn Wolf, who will help us light those candles. So we'll invite you up now. We continue with the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat. They can be found on your order of service. We begin with Shiru Ladonai.
Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Adonai, Baruch Shemo, Basru Meyom Leyom Yeshuato. Shiru Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Adonai, Kol Adonai, Baruch Shemo, Basru Meyom Leyom Yeshuato. Sapru Elohim Kevodo, Bechol ha'amim niflotav, Ki gadol Adonai, Umehulal me'od, Nora hu al kol Elohim. Beyond Leon Yeshuato, Sapruva Goyim Kevodo, Bechol ha'amim niflotav, Ki gadol Adonai, Umehulal me'od, Nora hu al kol Elohim. Shiru Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Adonai.
From Psalm 98, Zamru Ladonai, either on page 16 in your prayer book or just below in your order of service.
Zamru Ladonai, Zamru Ladonai Bechino, Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 Zamru Ladonai Bechino, Bechino. צירה תחת צוצרות בקול שופר הריעו לפני המלך אדוני
Before we invite the Sabbath bride forward, I'm going to invite Cantor Liz Sachs up to the bima. And in the way that you anticipate and need the Sabbath to come, I have to tell you that when I arrived at Central Synagogue in 2006, and I was the only cantor for 2,000 families, in my first year I said, I really think we need to hire another cantor. So when Cantor Liz Sachs came in 2007, I needed her more than the Sabbath bride. And she was as welcome and as important to me and to this musical team. And I have to say that even though it's been now 10 years since Cantor Sachs moved to become the senior cantor at Temple Emmanuel in Denver, which is an amazing congregation out there, that you should know her musical imprint is still in this place with many things that she brought to us and in ways that are invisible to you but still deeply important, including the way we do all our cue sheets at Central Synagogue. This was one of the many gifts that she gave us as well. So anyway, it is awesome to have you back and to help bring the Sabbath bride together once more.
Ya la 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 lecha dodi Ya la 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 likrat kala Ya la 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 penei Shabbat penei Shabbat nekabel Ya la 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 lecha dodi Ya la 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 likrat kala בדיבור אחד ישמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשמו תפארת Shabbat התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה
עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמונה המסגולה
We move ahead in our Sidurim and our prayer books to page 146, 146, and remain standing for Baruch Hu.
Ya la 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 la, ya la ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Ya la 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 la, ya la ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya la 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 la.
Please be seated and join with me in the Hebrew on the facing page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim b'mishmeratehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or.
Mavir yom v'layla, umavdil ben yom uven layla. Adonai tzebaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai
On page 148, we read responsively. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world.
In each age we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment we stand face to face with truth.
In each age we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment the knowing heart is filled with wonder.
In each age the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohel Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam.
Tonight, we show our love in a way different from the Ve'ahavta prayer, but by welcoming a new member into the Jewish community. It is my pleasure to welcome Grayson Smith to the Bima, together with his mom, Alexandra, and his grandparents, Roy and Karen James. I invite you to rise as we open the Ark. Alexandra and Roy and Karen, thank you so much for bringing us Grayson tonight. What a gorgeous new son and grandson. And I don't know if you could all see this, but Grayson is wearing a tiny suit. And I hope he wears this tiny suit for all the days of his life. Grayson, we are here to welcome you into your Jewish community and to give you your new Hebrew name. You really are an easy baby, just like your mom Alexandra said. So when you are done sleeping and you open your eyes and you smile, it just melts her heart. Grayson, tonight you receive a name that is full of significance, a name that will imbue you with strength, with connection to family and history, a name that we hope will fill you with kindness and care and generosity and honesty. In the words of your mom, your new Hebrew name is intended to bring you all the good stuff in life. Grayson, your new Hebrew name is Roi. It means my shepherd and is the same name that your grandfather has, Roy. Your grandfather is an important presence in our community, and may you always feel at home here the way that your grandfather does. With this name, Roi, you enter into the family of the people of Israel, a family that will always love and embrace you the way it embraces your mom and your grandparents. Roi, your Jewish community, your family, and I all want to bless you with a good life, a strong family and support system around you, and happiness, the kind of happiness you have already brought to everyone who loves you. We also want to bless you with many, many more days in this tiny, perfect suit. Rabbi Buchdahl will now share with you some of the oldest words of blessing in the Jewish tradition, words that have blessed prophets and rulers and generation after generation of Jews from ancient times to today.
Just to say that every baby is a miracle, but I really feel the sense of the miracle of this moment. We are privileged to share in this blessing together as your community. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha
Ken yehi ratzon. May God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka.
Ken yehi ratzon. May God radiate light and comfort onto you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha
Shalom. Shalom. Ken yehi ratzon. May God turn to you in comfort and strength, welcome and peace, always. Welcome, Roe.
Page 152. On the facing page is our Hashkivenu prayer. How do we ask God, though, to blanket us with peace when every day people are armed to the teeth? How are we to speak words of this prayer, asking God to keep weapons of war far from us when we make them so easy to acquire and to hoard? It seems strange to ask God to act when we won't meet God halfway. Since we last welcomed Shabbat on this bima, there have been 8 mass shootings in America. And in the first 27 days of this new year, there have been 40 mass shootings. It seems absurd to pray to God to protect us from violence when we do so little between these tragedies to prevent the next one. There's a Hasidic saying that humanity is the cause of all of our own troubles. So I don't know what to pray for anymore, except to pray for us. That somehow we might find the power within us to change, to value the souls that are shot down and snuffed out more than the rights we might regulate. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu, Adonai, Eloheinu, Lishalom, Lishalom. Hashkivenu, Hashkivenu, Adonai, Eloheinu, Lishalom.
Amidenu Malkeinu lechayim ולשלום
We continue with Tefillah with the Amidah on page 156, 155. And I'll invite you to please rise.
Adonai sfatai tiftach Adonai sfatai tiftach Ufi yagid tehilatecha Ufi yagid tehilatecha Adonai sfatai tiftach Adonai sfatai tiftach Ofi yagid tehilatecha Ofi yagid Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, בחיי מתים ברחמים רבים. צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, הוא מתיר אסורים, הוא מקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue now silently, either using our own prayers or the words of the Siddur through page 167. You can remain standing or be seated.
גשת צמאו, כל העולם כולו גשת צמאו, והעיקר לא לפחד, לא לפחד כלל. All of the world's a very narrow bridge. All of the world's a very narrow bridge. And the main thing is not to be afraid, not to be afraid at all. ויום אחד יבוא, נשיק כולה בנצחק. ויום אחד יבוא, נשיק כולה בנצחק. All of the world's a very narrow bridge. והעיקר לא לפחד, לא לפחד כלל. And the main thing is not to be afraid, not to be afraid at all.
This week's Torah portion opens with the plague of locusts and says explicitly that these insects were everywhere, including the palace and the homes of the powerful. No level of status or external security could protect against the plague, and the same is true of illness today. There is no household, family, or community that finds itself untouched by disease, addiction, or mental health challenges. But this parsha also gives us a model for how to support one another in hard times. When Moses says in negotiations with Pharaoh that he will not leave a single person behind. We uphold the values of our tradition when we reach out to a loved one who is struggling, letting them know that they are not alone in their pain, when we pray with and for one another. Central holds in our prayers these dear ones, Marnie Benjamin, Linda Ramirez, and Noemi de Oliveira. If there is anyone you are thinking of who is in need of healing in any form, I invite you to say their names aloud at this time or in your heart. Our prayer for healing can be found on your order of service.
Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in
We put our arms around each other in comfort, and we also do it in celebration. And we come together in a community to lift up and to amplify our times of joy as well. And so if any of the things that I mention are true for you, I invite you to rise, whether in body or in spirit. if you are becoming B'nai Mitzvah this weekend, this Shabbat, or you love someone who is becoming B'nai Mitzvah this Shabbat, Ava, Carson, Jack, your family and friends, I invite you to rise as you mark this amazing milestone. If you had a birthday or anniversary in this past week, or you will in the week to come, we invite you to rise in body or in spirit, and we feel an extra dose of excitement for Walter Loeb, who will be turning 98. Yes. And you may also rise in spirit, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Your family may have gotten bigger or more filled with love this week, whether through a birth or a baby naming that brought us all so much joy, a wedding, an adoption, or any other means. If that is true for you, I invite you to rise as well. Perhaps, oh, I love it. Perhaps you are here for the first time, whether you are one of our many wonderful groups who are coming to visit as a congregation, or maybe you're more local, but you're here for the first time. Maybe you've come from near or far. We invite you to rise and we say welcome. We're so, so happy that you're here this evening with us. And applause all around. And finally, if you are just happy to be celebrating Shabbat together with this community, we invite you to rise as we sing our Shehechianu blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Please be seated. Kol Yisrael arevim ze bazeh. All of Israel is responsible for one another. This line from the Talmud is the basis for our obligation to our fellow Jews. And it's a familiar one to many of us because we've used it as a rallying cry when we fought for Soviet Jewry or sponsored airlifts of Ethiopians to Israel. It follows from the meaning of that Hebrew word arev, one who underwrites another person's loan. Jews must be arevim, or guarantors for each other, and help Jews who are in need. But that's not actually the original context of that line. Kol Yisrael Arevim appears in the Talmud regarding the domino effect of sin. It comments on a challenging biblical verse that says, a person will stumble because of his brother's sin. And here, the word arevim is best translated from the Hebrew word me'urav, or mixture. In other words, I'd translate that line, all of Israel is mixed up with each other. If a Jew sins, other Jews are implicated. We are all responsible. This Jewish value of kinship and responsibility is at the core of the heightened struggle that many American Jews are feeling today when it comes to our relationship with Israel. How much are we mixed up with or responsible for our symbolic and literal family, an ocean away? It was one thing to feel responsible when Israel needed guarantors, as American Jews felt when Israel was a fledgling young state in need of our aid and our philanthropic dollars. But it's quite another thing to feel responsible for behaviors and decisions of a government we might not agree with, one that we did not elect. And this is all coming to a potential boiling point as Israel recently elected its most far right-wing government in its history, one that has placed religious extremists and ultranationalists in positions of leadership, who are unabashedly racist against Palestinians, who discriminate against the LGBTQ community, who believe Reform Jews are ruining Judaism, who plan continued annexation of West Bank settlements, who are legislating overrides of Supreme Court decisions, and they're doing this all in the name of Judaism. In a moment like this, it is particularly tempting to wash our hands of this government, to turn away from Israel, and many are. A conservative colleague and lifelong Zionist publicly wrote recently about why he will no longer offer the prayer for the state of Israel in his synagogue. Abe Foxman, who in his decades leading the ADL was chief bulldog on behalf of Israel, said most recently, "If Israel ceases to be an open democracy, I will not be able to support it." I see these as principled protests, but they threaten a detachment that we cannot afford. We cannot walk away from the most important and consequential sovereign project of the Jewish people in modern history. Kol Yisrael Aravim ze bazeh. All of Israel is inextricably linked to each other. We are responsible. If Israel tries to turn its back on the right of return for many Jews, or rule by tyranny or theocracy rather than democracy, or weaken the already troubled rights of Palestinian citizens, we need to roll up our sleeves and open our pocketbooks and invest in the civil society and democracy and religious pluralism and human rights that we say we support. Fortunately, the tens of thousands protesting in the streets of Tel Aviv in the last 3 weekends are a shot of hope. The people who are most affected by these new policies are refusing to accept them quietly. But I'm also well aware that these political tensions have also escalated a sequence of violence already. 9 Palestinians killed in an Israeli army raid in Jenin yesterday. Today, at least 7 Israelis shot dead in a terrorist attack outside a synagogue in East Jerusalem as Shabbat was beginning. When will this violence stop? Only when we refuse to be hijacked by violent extremists on either side. Only when we see a long game and invest in the education and infrastructure and relationships, which are the only true building blocks for a different outcome. It would be very easy to despair, and I am definitely been there in recent weeks. But I also had the fortune of being in Israel just a few weeks ago, and I spent time with people who do not have the luxury to give up hope. I saw Central Synagogue's former intern, Rabbi Cantor Shani Ben Or. Shani is working at Hebrew University, a campus where 18% of its student body are Palestinian students. But unsurprisingly, they are completely segregated from the Israeli Jewish student body. With visionary funding from the Schusterman Foundation, Shani is running several programs to engage dialogue, leadership training, social service work between Israeli Jewish students and Palestinian students. I got to sit in on 2 different groups and was so inspired by the genuine relationships they were building, despite the very honest challenges they expressed that they are facing every day. I also got to meet with Palestinian leader Rana Fahum, an esteemed educator who was recently named the director of Hartman's new Center for Shared Society. She is deeply critical of the new government, and she can also be critical of the Palestinian leadership. But she feels this heightened moment has given energy and an urgency to her work. Just the fact that a highly respected, connected Palestinian citizen is willing to work at an unabashedly Zionist organization in order to build shared society gives me some measure of hope. These are some of the stories we rarely hear about here, and these are the initiatives we should be talking about and supporting. I'm traveling again to Israel in February as part of the advisory board of the Partnership for Peace Fund, which is a $250 million allocation from Congress in partnership with USAID to invest in economic, social, and political people-to-people partnerships between Palestinians and Israeli Jews. It passed with bipartisan support. These are your taxpayer dollars at work. These projects support the very intensive education and economic and social infrastructure work that are the building blocks for a shared society. We might not see the impact of these initiatives for years, but we cannot desist from doing this work, and I'm grateful that the United States is supporting it. And last week I participated in a think tank organized by the Hartman Institute, Israel Policy Forum, and Encounter. They brought 35 rabbis from North America, leaders of our movements, our rabbinical seminaries, our largest synagogues, from Reform to Orthodox, to come and think about how we might constructively rethink the relationship between American Jews and Israel. I'll tell you, 35 rabbis don't agree about much, but there was a consensus that we could no longer talk about the safety and security of Israelis separate from the flourishing and the security and the safety of Palestinians as well. And it seems that our Torah portion this week supports this reframing. We're in Parshat Bo, the Exodus story amidst the plagues, and God brings a plague of darkness on the Egyptians. But the text continues, the Israelites enjoyed light in their dwellings. Great. The Israelites had light, but we were still not free. And how foolish to think that we can overcome our enslavement when our neighbors are sitting in darkness, so thick they can touch it. I thought of the great sin of ultranationalism, which is to fight for light for your own without regard for the moral price for others. Or the sin of religious extremism, which is believing that you have the exclusive claim to God's light and truth. These are the plagues that infect Israel's government today. Kol Yisrael arevim ze bazeh. All of Israel is mixed up with and responsible to each other. We must understand that this mandate is not just about how Jews relate to their same kind of fellow Jew, but to the Jew who observes differently, or maybe doesn't pray at all. And maybe even more challenging, we have to understand that this mandate is not just about how Israel must relate to its Jewish citizens, but to all Israeli citizens, Jewish, Palestinian, Druze, Christian, Muslim, and also those living under Israel's military control. We are responsible for all Israel. We are mixed up on that land together. We can't feel comfortable sitting in the light of sovereignty next to a community living in darkness and expect to have peace. We cannot allow some Jews to claim the light of authenticity while they relegate the rest of us Jews to the darkness of fraudulence. Kol Yisrael, arevim, ze bazeh, all Israel, is inextricably linked to one another. Our fates are bound up with each other, so let us be guarantors for each other and worked towards a shared destiny that can actually bring light to all people. We turn to a future that we hope has more hope than the one we see today. Oh, thank you. Please rise as we join together for Aleinu.
ותקל על יוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונה, ואנחנו הורים ומשתחווים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא
Please be seated. Tonight is International Holocaust Memorial Day, one of the several days in a year that Jews will commemorate the Holocaust. Kristallnacht in November, Yom HaShoah in the spring. We want to find many ways to remember because we are afraid we will forget, especially when we know we are the last generation who will know eyewitnesses, survivors of the Holocaust. We understand that we must learn their stories and allow their memories to become a part of theirs. Tonight, I'm honored that we will have our candle lit by one who also came through and was an eyewitness to those horrors. Last year, Walter Loeb and his wife Phyllis sat on this bima and they were interviewed by Rabbi Nicole Auerbach for the USC Shoah Foundation's testimony collection. For 3 hours, Walter shared stories about his family's fleeing from Frankfurt to Milan in 1936 after Hitler's rise to power when he was just 11. He recounted his father's expulsion from Italy and immigration to Cuba in 1939, followed a few months later by their move to New York. He spoke about graduating from high school and his pride in being drafted into the Army, landing on Utah Beach on D-Day in June 1944, and then later thwarting a German plot to blow up a strategic bridge. This is just one of many, many stories of an extraordinary life. Walter, we are so grateful that you have shared these stories with our community, with the wider Jewish world, and tonight that you will light our memorial candle. I'll invite you up. And I want to say that it's a privilege that now everyone who is in this room and everyone who is watching with live stream, you too can say that you met an eyewitness, that you are part of this last generation. And tomorrow, Walter, you will light another candle, this time for your 98th birthday. What a blessing for all of us to honor you on the eve of such a significant milestone. We say to you, Ad Mea Ve'asrim, to 120. And if you and your family can come up and light the candle, we would be most honored.
Mashiach. בביאת המשיח אני מאמין, בביאת המשיח, בביאת המשיח אני מאמין.
Tonight, our Central Synagogue community remembers those that have been taken in recent weeks: Carol Sherman Allen, Renee Steiner Burla, Michael Bruck, Carol Gluck, Carol Goldberg, Ross Lewis, Mark Lipman, Max Stadler, Joe Wexler, and those whose yahrzeits occur at this season: Frederick Richard Adler, Eliezer Agabs, Arnold Aronson, Gertrude Aronson, Erwin Martin Ballett, Joseph Beredis, Gerhard Baum, George Bell, Alice Bellin, Floris Burson, Jacob Biersuck, Jerome Blum, Gerald Blumberg, Andy Bronfman, Andrew Brooks, Ralph Brozan, Ann Calderon, Ann Carver, Joseph D. Coffey Jr., Dion Cole, Alan Seisler, Monty Daniels, Wanda Dembeck, Jane Disson, Minnie Drabkin, Murray Drabkin, Hilda Ehrenkrantz, George Eisenpresser, Leon Elterman, Alan Finkel, Arnold Friedman, Bernard Gelfman, Gladys Gibson, Benjamin Gersh, David Stewart Gold, Carl Golden, Jerome Goldfisher, Benjamin Grebo, Ludwig Hanauer, Richard Heitner, Rose Horowitz, Ronald Isroff, Julia Weber Kaplan, Judith Kay, Ted Kirsch, Martin Klebanoff, Lori Kogel, Joseph H. Lauder, Frida Lotkin, Gertrude Lemley, Arnold Lentz, Milton Levine, Howard Lippman, Alexandra Sasha Markovsa, Samuel May, Edith Mendelson, Shell Middleman, Gertrude Oxenfeld, Francis Pecker, Hannah Perlson, Israel Rabinowitz, Harvey Roseman, Vera Rovner, Ellen Rubin, Avram Shanemark, Susie Siegel, Stephen Seinman, Evelyn Skittle, Louis Smigel, Susanna Sobolowski, Raymond Sofer, Carol Steingeller, Tony Stone Shore, Miles Stuchin, Samuela Shupper Sussman, Joel Teller, William Tishman, Evelyn Tommy White, Perry Terrell, Dora Weinberg, Murray Westrich, Daniel Wolf, Faye Young, Jack Zakin. And those that you might be remembering at this time in your hearts, if you were in Shiva the first 7 days of mourning a loved one, I invite you to rise so we may recognize you. If you're in Shloshim the first 30 days of mourning, we invite you to rise. If you're in Shana, the first year of mourning a loved one, I invite you to rise. And if you are observing a yahrzeit this season, I invite you to rise. May the memory of your loved ones be a blessing. And for the many millions who do not have anyone to say Kaddish for them on this Holocaust Memorial Day, we rise together as one community and we remember. Page 294, Kadisha Tome. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala u'v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mavarach le'olam u'lolmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrumam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'halal shemei d'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
So long as we live, they too shall live. They
What a joy and privilege it is to share in Shabbat. It's just, we've had a full sanctuary now, and it feels like we're back, and Shabbat is not the same without all the voices to sing. It doesn't feel the same to mark Holocaust Memorial Day without many of us to be here and pay homage together. So thank you for being with us here, and those of you who joined us. If you are here for LCLJ, don't forget to sign into the book. Following services, I hope you'll join us. Our onegs are back. Not everyone's going down there, but I'm going to be down there tonight. Come on down. And we also happen to have an incredible photography exhibit from our own central congregant, Fran Kaufman, who kind of marked her relationship with her husband who struggled with Alzheimer's. It's quite an extraordinary exhibit. So come down, have a nosh with us. Next weekend is our big Get Shabbat weekend. We have dozens of Shabbat meals that are being hosted by members, and if you haven't signed up yet and you'd like to join, we invite all our members to do so. But we also have all Shabbat long. Shabbat's more than just Friday night. It's also all Saturday, and we will be having things here all Saturday long as well, including boot camp, yoga, museum tours, Central Park walks. We hope that you will join us for Shabbat and really enjoy it together with our community. Mazel tov to our B'nai Mitzvah. I'd love to have Ava and Carson. Am I missing? And Jack, thank you. Come up and join us on the Bima for Kiddush and Motzi blessings. And I saw joyfully lots and lots of kids in our sanctuary today. So if you're under the age of bar bat mitzvah, we'd love to have you come join us on the Bima as well. Please come on up, join your siblings and friends. Page 5.
Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav beratzavanu. B'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'bratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lemaaseh bereshit. Ki hu yom techila lemikrahe kodesh, zecher litziat mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol amim. B'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava u'bratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen.
Oh, here comes the challah. Thank you. The handoff. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Close with Adon Olam, page 321 or 2, one of those. Please join us. Adon Olam Asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra, le'nasa b'chefzo kof, azai melech shemo nikra. Be'acharei kichlot hakol, levado yimloch nora, ve'hu haya, ve'hu hove, ve'hu yeh, v'tifara. Ve'hu echad, ve'ein
Shabbat Shalom.